So, but anyway, so now get into what them Democrats are really crying about, and that would be Trump's fucking the Save Act that's going on right now. And of course, that's got everybody in a tizzy. To me, anyone who's ever had to show ID to buy a 6-pack of beer or board a plane, I mean, they need to gather around while we explain why these Democrats are pissing and moaning over this Save Act. I mean, it's that radical extremist, that downright fascist piece of legislation that says, of all things, let me check these notes, it requires people to prove they're American citizens before voting. I mean, what's the fucking problem?
It seems very simple.
Yeah, the horror. It's like, in the Save Act, it's a safeguard American voter eligibility. That's for those keeping score at home. It basically says, hey, if you're going to pick the leaders of the United States, maybe, just maybe, you should be, I don't know, a U.S. citizen.
Citizen of the United States? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, but, maybe we don't need U.S. citizens voting on U.S. politics.
Yeah, well, the Democrats, we
should just let the UK do it. Like, we'll just send all the ballots over there and just let them have at it.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. See if that work out real good. But the Dems hate it, bro. They despise it. I mean, they're voting against it in lockstep, like good little foot soldiers. And why it would be apparently asking for a birth certificate or passport is the moral equivalent of Jim Crow or poll taxes or just some kind of literacy test, all rolled up into one giant racist conspiracy burrito. It's crazy. They'll tell everybody with a straight face that 21 million poor oppressed American citizens don't have their birth certificate handy. You can't possibly dig it out of that shoebox under the bed or swing by the vital records office. It's too
get another one.
Yeah.
No. Can't do that.
I think. Well, go ahead.
So the Save Act makes it harder for married women to vote. And
that's what I was going to say. The main bitch that I'm seeing or hearing is about women, basically, or people that are married or just change their name in general. Like, it makes it harder. So now I'm sure there's arguments against that.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got I don't know how, there's no real, I guess, language, it seems, in the bill for married women. I'm reading it as trying to make sure that there's nothing in there. I mean, would a marriage license suffice for that?
A marriage license, of course.
Yeah. So then why does it make it harder? And if they're already registered to vote, like if you're registered to vote right now, you're not going to have to go re-register to vote and prove your U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, there's ways, the name change, thing. It's like I said, it can be for marriage, or it could be for someone that, these rainbow people that decide to change their gender. So then they want to change their name. So I get it. People's name changes, but that's the big argument when you listen to the Democrats. That's what they're running with right now, that it's going to affect so many millions of women who aren't going to be able to vote. And that's the crowd they're trying to scare right now with this shit. But there's ways in it already that, it help with those situations if you've changed your name. Like you said, marriage certificates for one. I mean, it's really not that complicated as they're making it. I think it's just a reason to bitch about it and hope and not want it to go through, because we know exactly why. Exactly why the last thing they want is nationwide voter ID.
Yeah,
It's no
no, that
secret.
that would be a threat to democracy. You know what I mean? Like we can't have that.
Eh, no, it would. You know, I want to see. I pulled up earlier. They were trying to think, man. They had the ways in that bill. It's stuff that already exists, like for getting an ID, just a driver's license for someone with a name change. I mean, there's ways around that, and states are already currently working with you to kind of connect the dots. It's to figure out who you are. You know, they're not just kicking you out of the fucking place saying, "Oh, nope, your ID. You know, you're telling me this is your last name, but your driver's license says this." You know, there's other ways around that, and these Democrats know that shit. They
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I'm kind of reading right now is uh the additional processes in certain cases, process for those without documentary proof in general, subject to any relevant guidance adopted by the Election Assistance Commission. Each state shall establish a process under which an applicant who cannot provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship under paragraph 1 may, if the applicant signs an attestation under penalty of perjury that the applicant is a citizen of the U.S. and eligible to vote in elections for federal office, um, they should submit such other evidence to the appropriate state or local official demonstrating that the applicant is a citizen of the U.S., and such official shall make the determination as to whether the applicant has sufficiently established U.S. citizenship for purposes of registering to vote. So it seems like there's going to be workarounds, and in the state, they're going to have ways that they can say, okay, well, we understand that you changed your name, you have a marriage certificate, you've got your ID, you've got your birth certificate. We can see who you were, who you are now, and you're good to go.
well, exactly, and that's
I'm reading the SAVE Act. Nothing comment.
well the you know the estimates suggest that this affects around I think 69 million American women. Now, about 84% of those they're in opposite sex marriages who change or hyphenate their surname. Plus, others like I mentioned earlier with the whole Rainbow Coalition there, the individuals who've legally changed names or their for their gender alignment. Well, critics say the bill doesn't explicitly allow supplementary documents like marriage certificates to resolve name mismatches, potentially leading to disenfranchisement and all that bullshit. It's not true though. That's the worst part about people screaming that is that it's not true at all. I mean, they can, for one, individuals can amend their birth certificates or obtain updated IDs. Might involve some fees and a little bit of time, but if it's that important to you to go vote, well, take the fucking time and do it. It's almost like, it might, I don't know, it might throw some people off or make it a little bit harder. And I don't even believe it does that. It might put somebody out every now and then just to make sure that the voting is secure in the country. And to me, I would think the trouble would be worth it. If you got to go down to wherever the fuck you got to go to get your name changed legally so you can vote. The other option is just letting anybody vote with no ID. And I just don't think that's a good fucking alternative.
No, I don't think that's a good alternative at all. And I think there's a lot of decent workarounds in the bill as it sits. Honestly, you think you said 40 what million American women would be affected?
According to this, 69 million American women.
I really wonder where that comes from because
probably the Democrats making it up.
Because
that's probably
I think about it like, all right, so it says this act and the attachments made by this act shall take effect on the date of enactment of this act and shall apply with respect to applicants for voter registration which are submitted on or after such date, right? So
right.
On or after, if you're registering to vote, you'll have to follow these rules, regulations, whatever. I would assume most people that register to vote are doing it prior to being married,
Yeah, and
So it would really, the name change part would only affect either women that are getting married early in life or women that get married or register to vote later in life. So
right.
I would assume that takes that number down a fair amount.
Yeah, I would think so too. I definitely think those numbers are inflated if you're hearing it from the left leaning media. You know, I don't. I'm with you. I don't. For one, I don't believe it, and I think they're making it sound way more complicated than it is. I mean, the way that they're expressing it online right now is that these women or these name changers, whoever they are, it's going to damn near be impossible for them to vote. So you're taking their voting rights away, and it like I said, it's the furthest from the fucking truth, you know.
It
But
definitely seems like it. I'm not seeing where the issue is. Like I said, it says by signing, you're basically swearing under penalty of perjury that you are an American citizen and here's the documents that you have to prove it. And then the state will tell you if that's good or not. And it kind of seems like unless you're just walking in with a handwritten ID card,
yeah,
you'll be pretty good to go.
well, I mean, it's you got another way. You got U.S. passport. If you have a passport, your name's already updated on it. Uh, you know, I would say birth certificate. But then again, if you've changed your name since birth, but then that's on you. Go get another birth certificate. I mean, you just run around changing your name and you have no legal proof, then it's not your fucking name. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's not your legal name then. Something has to have it on it if you've legally changed your
And
name.
if you get a real ID, that's all you would need.
Exactly.
So if
Yeah.
you change your name, you go to the DMV, get a real ID, and be done with it, you'll have everything you need to register to vote.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think they're creating a problem that isn't there just to scare people off from wanting this.
Definitely. And I can see where a few issues might arise for a select few people, but I just don't see this being a widespread issue
It's
at
not.
all.
It's not. And another argument against it is that they're saying the non-citizens voting is quote rare, very rare. And it seems to be really more it's underdetected without strong checks. I mean, how do they know it's rare if there's some places that don't require an ID? Well, who the fuck how do you know who the fuck's voting? Existing
Exactly. And
laws
how do
they
you know that people, I mean, if you're not checking IDs when people are voting, what stops people from just walking in to, I don't know, two different polling places, three different
true.
polling places within the city and just,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
voting
of
away.
course there's existing laws that ban this, but
Well, I'm sure there is, but how do you enforce that?
exactly. Weak enforcement allows it. You know, I mean, audits have found thousands flagged as potential non-citizens on rolls, and Virginia removed 1,400 of them. North Carolina identified over 1,400 of them. You know, even small numbers like that matter. I mean, every illegal vote cancels a legal one. So the SAVE Act it's trying to close those loopholes the left tries to exploit to stay in power. And
Yeah,
their
I just
only
don't
reason
see how no proof of identification being required to vote seems like a good idea anywhere. And like, I guess by not passing the SAVE Act, that's not, I guess, really what they're fighting for, but it happens, right? There's
right,
places that don't require ID, and I just don't see how you control anything. Because, like you said, there's been 1,400 identified, but how do you identify a polling booth? Like I could
right.
see the mail-in ballots, you could identify that, but how would you identify people double voting, triple voting, or non-citizens voting at just a walk-in polling booth that doesn't require any ID?
Yeah, and they hide behind the big words that they like to throw out is racism. That's their excuse for everything because of course this is racist now.
Yeah.
It's sexist. It's just a bunch of bigots that are running around wanting people to have IDs to prove they're citizens before they vote. Somehow that turns into all these buzzwords instead of just calling it what it is. I mean, we'd rather not have illegals voting in American elections. It seems pretty simple now. They cry about its suppression, and it's. I mean, we require proof for what? Driving, flying, buying guns. I mean, welfare, etc. You name it. So why is proving citizenship for the that right to vote extreme? Because that's what they would call it. It's some kind of extreme measures that Trump's taken. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. You would think the only people that want that are ones that have bad intentions when it comes to this voting system.
You would think so.
There's no other reason.
I really don't see. I don't know. I don't get the racism part of it, and like black people aren't intelligent enough to go get IDs or something. I don't understand it.
Yeah, that's always been my big one. Where that's how they were bitching about that during the last election, and just how hard it is, or that, like you said, like black people just can't figure out how to go get IDs.
They don't know how to use
What?
the internet.
Yeah.
Can't figure out how to
Exactly.
go get IDs. They
Like, God damn, that's what you think of these people? Like, Jesus.
Right. And Red Butt Monkey says, make IDs free. I can get behind that because
Yeah, I'm
tired of paying the fucking government anything. But I don't think that the fact that they're not free right now should have any standing on whether this bill passes, because they're not relatively expensive. It's not like you got to pay $3,000 to go get an ID.
Yeah, that I'm with you. It should be. You should be able to get a free one. I'm with that. I'm all on board with that. But
at least your first one. I mean, like, hey, first one's free. If you just lose them once a week and you need a new one, like, okay, well, but
I'd rather change that than try to just have no requirements when it comes to these, the voting in certain areas of the country. You don't have to show ID at all. I'd much rather them use our tax dollars to provide every citizen that's voting age with an ID. Like you said, at least the first one. You lose them, well, then you got to pay for the next one, or don't go fucking vote. I don't know what to tell you. Keep up with your ID, So yeah, that's a good plan or a good idea. I don't see why they don't do that. Just give everybody a fucking ID. Fuck it, your first one's on us. They stealing enough of our tax dollars. They can do that.
Absolutely, motherfuckers.
But the answer isn't on the other side of the spectrum, though. It's just let anybody vote. I just don't know why anybody would want that, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Besides the politicians that are trying to stay in power. I mean, I know why they want it, but
yeah. So Red Butt Monkey's in the comments.
Butt Monkey.
People who have been adopted, fosters, orphanages, runaway, abandonees, they don't have documents, or they're living in cars, under bridges, people. And, that's kind of what I was saying earlier is you're going to have a select few people that are affected and do have a harder time registering to vote because of this. But it doesn't matter what bill you pass, you're going to have somebody's going to be negatively affected. And I just don't see it being that many people that are in those specific situations. I get that there's a fair amount, but compared to the voting age, that as many voting age Americans as we have, I just don't see it being a large portion of them.
No, and it's not to say it's not going to inconvenience anybody, but again, the alternative can't just be a free-for-all in the voting booths. It can't. Right. You don't have a country like that. You can't do that. That's not the answer. The answer is better what was suggested in the chats, man. Give everybody a fucking ID. Now, not everybody has the means to go get the ID, but goddamn, man, if you want to vote, you got to put in a little bit of effort. I mean, in order for me to get an ID, I have to go down there. I have to take my time and go fucking do the shit at the DMV. It's a pain in the ass. I get it. But if it's free and it's that important to you, figure out a way or don't vote. That's all there is to it.
I mean, can't you just – I'm pretty sure you could just get IDs online now, right? You just get them updated and sent to you. And I always have some fucking bullshit flags or some shit that I got to go pay. But that's my situation, But usually you'd be able to hop online, pay for your, whatever fucking fees they charge you, and they'll send it right to you.
Well, bottom line, dude, we know why the Democratic politicians are crying about it. It's simple, man.
Absolutely.
It's every barrier, even the tiniest, most reasonable one, shrinks the universe of people they can register or mobilize and or import votes from. Online registration, mail-in free-for-all, no questions asked. That's their secret sauce, man. It make it harder to cheat or even harder to pretend there's no cheating, and suddenly they're it's just they're up at arms. I mean, and you're making it harder for them to do what they want to do, which I believe wholeheartedly they did in the 2020 elections. I mean, they want to call it voter suppression. We just call it voter integrity. I mean, it's not racist,
Right. And Red Bump Monkey, more comments, but according to the Brennan Center, the rate of in-person voter impersonation is extremely low, only 0.00004% of all ballots cast. But how do they know that if there's places that aren't requiring ID at all to vote? Like, how do you figure out how many were fraudulent if you don't know who voted?
Yeah,
you just know that there were votes.
Right. That's the problem with these numbers that they throw out, that's the ones that they're telling you. But how can you get an accurate number of fraud when you don't even know who is doing it or how many times they've done it?
Yeah, because I can see where numbers would come from in states that require, an ID to vote, because at least you have something that links the number of IDs you checked and who compared to the amount of votes that were casted. And it's like you can kind of backtrack and figure out where the issues came into play. But places that don't require ID at all, there's no way for you to get any sort of accurate number. Like, any number that you throw out there in these places for voter fraud is completely false numbers because you don't know.
All right, there's no way to prove it. Even if they're real, you still don't know it. Whether they're real or false, nobody knows for sure. So you can't just go by these numbers. Now, what we do know is I doubt the number of people that are committing voter fraud is zero. So if this can help prevent it at all, I mean, why wouldn't you want it to? Now, yeah. I get it. I mean, we mentioned it before. It's going to inconvenience some people, maybe, people that have changed their names, because I see, some of the chats, basically like, okay, guy who's never had to change his name. You're right. I never had to. But my wife has. She can go vote. You know what I mean? It's
was she registered to vote prior to y'all getting married?
Yeah.
So then it wouldn't be a problem for her anyway.
Right.
Like, so Armageddon says disenfranchising every woman that is married and has a different last name than on the birth certificate. And that's false as well, because if they're already registered to vote, this act has nothing to do with them. So it would only be married women that have changed their last name and are registering to vote after, I believe it's midway through 2025.
So, I was just looking
April 10th, 2025.
Like, how is this good at all? Like, California does not generally require voters to show any form of identification to vote, whether in person or at a polling place or by mail. How is that good? How can any citizen believe that that's a good idea? That's so crazy, man. The whole state, you could basically just walk in and vote, tell them who you are, who you claim to be, and that's it. That's it. I mean,
easy enough.
And this whole vote by mail shit, that is just the biggest scam when it's not absolutely necessary. I get it. They have, soldiers who are deployed, and there's certain situations where people have to, but when they shut the whole country down with COVID, that was exactly what they wanted. It allowed so much of that mail-in voting to take place where none of that shit was verified.
Right.
We had no idea as citizens what was going on with these ballots. Some of them weren't being counted. Some of them were being counted multiple times. I mean, there was so much shit going on and so much fraud with that mail-in stuff because it makes it too easy. It's
absolutely
almost unchecked. And that's what they want, more and more of that. And then you can mail in ballots with no verification of who the fuck's mailing it in. People were
Just send it in as anonymous.
They had people that were making points of this. They were registering their fucking dogs to vote and then sending that fucking vote in to prove points that of how corrupt this fucking system is in some of these states. And it worked. It's like, is that what we want?
I believe it.
I guess if your side's winning, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. You know, if it helps your side out, yeah, that's what we want. So I can see why it becomes a political argument. I can see why everybody like doesn't agree with us in the chats. You know, I can see, because if you know your side is going to use that to their advantage, well, of course you all for it. I mean, that's just how people are nowadays in this country. It's not about what's really good for the whole and what's good for the country. It's about what's going to help my side win. Oh, fuck. No IDs? I'm all for it. And that's just where most people are in their minds, and you're never going to change it.
And Armageddon said, do you know how many get married per year? And I get that, but if you're that worried about it, go register to vote before you get married. You know the requirements of everybody should at this point know the requirements of this bill and what it's going to require to get registered to vote. So go do it.
I mean,
plan ahead, be an adult.
Yeah, I mean, the argument against that, or some people are going to say they shouldn't have to jump through hoops to do what's your right as a citizen. You know, I get it. Like I said, I don't think it's going to leave, you know, zero people inconvenienced, but the alternative isn't just to have, you know, wide open voting booths. Just come on in, press the button. Nope. You want to jump over to the next booth? Go ahead. We're not going to check your ID. That's not the answer either. So honestly, I like the idea of just providing everybody with their first ID for free.
I like that too. What up, Matt?
You might have to take a little time out of your day to go get it, but if voting's that important to you, then you'll do it. I mean, you got to, you know, and you should have to go to the place and vote. Show them your ID. That's how they do it here. They want to match your fucking ID with the name and the address on their little piece of paper that the old ladies are sitting there fucking checking. It's a great system. It works great. You don't have an ID, sorry, you can't vote. It's that simple. But like I said, never going to get people to agree on it. It all depends on whose side's benefiting from it and who's not. And that's the, you know, the twist you're gonna stick with. You know, you're
absolutely.
Story, so.
What up, the guy your wife said don't worry about? I see you out there, bro. I see your comments.
The guy your wife. Anyway, fuck it. Don't vote. That's what I say. Fuck it. Anyway. Yeah, it don't matter.
I think if you're too stupid to get through, you know, being able to prove that you're an American citizen, like, hey, just don't vote. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a waste of fucking time anyway. As far as these big presidential type elections, I just don't think there's. I don't know, man. I think, you know, a lot of people say that they're appointed more than they're voted in, and it just seems to be that. And we always, you know, talk about it on why it broke that system when Trump got in, because he wasn't the one that they were supposed to allow into that position.
Right.
And it just threw the entire system.
That throws me off on the argument of, you know, people will argue that every election is kind of set up and it's fake and da-da-da. And I just can't see it with Trump winning the 2016 election.
No, you can tell by the reaction how, like I said, he was not supposed to do that night. You can tell. You could tell by, I mean, Hillary was ready to celebrate, had her little balloons and her confetti and shit being dropped. There was no way in her mind or anybody else in that entire system, there was no way Trump was winning that night. They knew they had it because he was not the one that they were going to give it to. And somehow, some way, he did it. And all that did was make them ramp up the fraud in the second election, the second go around with him. That was they were.
That's kind of my point, is that like it's not set up like a behind the scenes thing, like where your vote doesn't count, but you know, you have to vote. Like, go vote. It counts, obviously, because if it didn't, like we were just saying, Trump wouldn't have won 2016 if they were just like, we're going to make them think they're voting, but we got this shit set up, you know what I mean? But if they can twist the numbers with voter fraud, then
Right. No, you're right. I think that's kind of what went on that second go around when he lost, quote unquote lost. Uh, I think it was like, okay, we're pulling out all stops to make sure he doesn't get in. He slipped through the cracks the first time, and then when he won his second term, there was so much talk and so much of, I guess, just paying attention to the system that they couldn't figure out a way to cheat him in the office, so they tried to kill him. It's right. It's plain and simple. That's not even hyperbolic. It's plain and simple. They were like, okay, well, we did the whole fraud thing. We can't shut the country down again like we did with COVID. So we're not going to be able to do enough fraud to beat him. There's only one other way to stop him. And they tried to take him out. It didn't work, and he won. And they knew it. They saw where it was going, because I don't think they could have pulled off the amount of fraud like they did that second go around, because, like I said, half the country was closed down. So many people were mailing in these bullshit ballots, or if they were even mailing them in, they were just, oh yeah, this state won. We counted all the ballots, and he lost in this state.
right.
And it's like, well, who? We don't know that. Nobody knows. But I just think they were going to do anything they could to make sure he didn't win that second term.
And that's what the guy says, they weren't expecting it. That's why they didn't have safeguards in place to fix the election for the first one.
Yeah, I think Trump ruined it for any outsider ever again. I think he did. I think by all means necessary, they're not going to allow another person to get in there that's not part of their little bubble.
Right.
And some people would argue that Trump's becoming part of it, but he didn't start off that way by any means, or they wouldn't have fought tooth and nail to keep him out. I mean, there wasn't an entity that wasn't against Trump. They were all lockstep. The fucking media, all these big corporations, everybody was on the same page with, we don't want him in there. And that is all you need to know on why somebody like him needed to be in there. As bad as the system didn't want him in there, that right there is like, well, that's the one. That's the one you want. Not saying he's perfect by any means, but when they're fighting that hard to keep somebody out, like, what are you covering up? What are you afraid of? Let that man come in there and run his 4 years and, get him out of there or whatever. Try to get him voted out. But that wasn't how they were scared to death. So what did they do? They kept him fucking busy the whole time with impeachments and, all these fucking hoaxes that they were throwing out there with the Russia collusion. It was just all just to keep him so busy to where they could just continue with business as usual. You could see it. Pay attention to it.
And it'll be back. If we lose the midterms, it'll be back.
Which is very likely. It's very likely, dude. That I don't think the midterms are going to go well for the conservative side. I mean, we say we. I mean, I'm not a registered Republican, but as of right now, the left is so fucking loony. I don't think they need to be in control. But I don't think it's going to fare well for them come these midterms, and we'll see what that leads to. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
know. The Real Term One said Biden had a record vote count against Trump. 15 million of the voters disappeared in 2024.
Yeah, record vote counts. Yeah, that's what I mean. There was so much fishy shit going on with that, and you're only going to see it if of course your side lost, I guess. Then it's like you start looking into it, but you could show concrete evidence to the people that voted against Trump, and they would look at it like, so we don't care, because that's how they get you in politics, where you don't even care if your side has to cheat to get in. You excuse it because they paint the other side as being so just vile and evil that you look at it like, well, it doesn't matter. We had to do what we had to do. It's the whole, it's the whole, would you kill, baby Hitler thing if you had a chance? Some people are like, well, yeah, I think he, if it would stop that genocide, then yeah, it needed to happen. Somebody should have took him out when he was younger. Well, that's kind of how they look at it with politicians and this political race is, win by all means, because if the other side gets in, that's the end of democracy. The country's going to burn to the ground if Trump gets in. And both sides do it. I mean, you see it. It's never about what we're going to do for the country. It's how bad the other side's going to fuck up the country if you let them win.
That's all you're voting on right now.
That's what they run on.
To not let the other side in. It's not voting for my side. It's voting for not your side.
That's the whole thing that pretty much Kamala Harris ran on, was just, how bad Trump's going to be if he wins. She couldn't complete a coherent sentence to talk about what she was going to do. And if it was, this is what I'm going to do. And when somebody would say, well, how? She had no fucking answer. So then it just turned into, well, if you don't vote Trump out, this is what's going to happen to the country.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what politics has turned into, really.
That's why she lost. Even my left-leaning friend, he talked about it, and how he was really pissed off at the Democrat side because that was her whole running strategy. It wasn't, what am I going to do? It's, we can't let Trump win. And by that being her strategy of winning the presidency, she lost.
Yeah, that was it. Because people saw right through it. She wasn't talking about anything. And not to mention it. I think even the Democrats realized just how far the left had gone left. They weren't just liberal anymore. I mean, they went off the rails. And we mentioned it a while back that when you started fucking with people's kids and trying to justify all of this sexual just nonsense they were pushing towards children, well, that even Democrats with kids start looking at that like, okay, that's a little strange. Now you're fucking around with children. You're thinking it's okay that these children can be sexualized and, with these drag shows at these fucking libraries and shit with 7-year-olds sitting around. Well, the average normal parent doesn't want their child seeing that shit. So that's where the left fucked up. And I don't think they could dig themselves out of that hole back then. So, Kamala wasn't going to be the one to do it because she wasn't saying anything strong enough to get where people would just forget about all the other nonsense that the left was doing.
Right.
So they better get out of that shit. I mean, they better. It seems like they're kind of, distancing themselves a little bit purposely, some of these politicians, because they're not stupid. They know what lost them that election. So, they're going to play the game and start pandering to whatever crowd they need to pander to. But
oh yeah, it's coming.
I don't think it'll be the child touchers that they pander to this time. So
no, I don't think so. According to Matt, we are not losing the midterms. So
I don't know. I mean, I know it doesn't usually. A lot of times, it doesn't fare well for the party that's in power at the time, and the midterms are a little harder to get people fired up to go vote for. People just don't take the time out of their day. Everybody gets fired up about the presidential election, and the midterms just kind of come and go. And so, like I said, sometimes it more times than not, it probably doesn't do very well for the party that's in power. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it is what it is, man. Just when it comes to all the voting stuff that we originally started this conversation on, man, it's a simple ask, and that's just prove who you are. I mean,
that's it.
You got to do it in so many other situations that people don't complain about, but yet when it comes to voting, that's when it's a problem, and it's just such a weird reaction to being asked to prove who you are. When like
it really is, because it just doesn't seem like it's that much more of an ask than, like, I mean, you walk in the DMV to get your first driver's license and they want fucking birth certificate and this and that and fucking bill and I mean fingerprints and eye scans and chip your brain and shit, like all kinds of shit. It took me, I had to go to the DMV probably maybe twice, 2-3 times, because every time it'd be something else they need. Oh, well, we need this proof of ID too, and this proof. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Changing your address, you got to have your ID. You got to have 2 bills with your address on it, and they've got to be your bills and actual bills. It can't just be, just mail. I'm like, y'all are nuts, but whatever.
No, and some people are going to argue that going to get your driver's license and all that's considered a privilege in this country, where voting is your right. So basically, you shouldn't have to jump through hoops to be able to vote. I understand the argument, but again, the answer isn't just a voting free for all. It just can't be. It can't be. It's just not how you keep a country together. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is besides the one that was suggested a long time ago in the chats, which is just give everybody a free fucking ID.
I definitely think that should be
Now,
a
you
thing.
still
I
have
mean,
to
regardless
prove who
of the SAVE Act or not, I think everybody should get a free ID because, like I said, fuck all these little micro taxes from the fucking government. But
Well, I guess then you still have to prove who you are to get that ID, though. So, I mean, suppose your birth certificates or whatever burnt up in a house fire. I mean, what do you do from there? And then you go to the DMV to get an ID, and they want to see your birth certificate. I mean, I guess you got to go through the whatever hassles it takes to get another one. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think it's going to just inconvenience nobody. I get that. I get that argument that it can be an unnecessary inconvenience for some when it isn't for others. When it's your right to vote. I get that, but
Don Juan says free ID is socialism, and
no, it's
it's
not.
not.
Why
It's
free ID?
not at all. Like
we're not saying
they require you to have your fucking ID. So I that's how I've kind of been. Is like, if you're gonna require me to fucking have it, you need to give me
vote.
one.
Yeah. If
For
I'm an American
anything
citizen,
the government requires me to fucking have,
then you should give it to me. I'm not saying force it on everybody. If you don't want one, then we'll get one. But I'm talking about when it comes to this voting, that if the excuse is, well, some people can't afford to get an ID, well, okay, that's fine. Then all the tax dollars they're stealing from us, why don't they pay for everybody to have an ID that wants one?
Who pays for the ID? How much do you think the fucking IDs cost the government?
Right. And I'm just sitting there saying, do you think your money's not going to worse ideas than that? I mean, if they're stealing it by the fucking billions anyway, then at least it can be put to some sort of good use, which is give everybody an ID that wants one. I'm not saying force it on them like you're Nazi Germany where they want to tattoo shit on your foreheads and shit. But if you want to vote, you need an ID. Well, guess what? We're going to give you one. We're not even going to make you pay for it. Here you go. Here's your ID. Have fun. Go vote. You don't want to vote? Don't get one.
Tony says we already have IDs, though. Why a separate ID for voting? Just redundant.
No.
I don't think it's a separate ID
I'm not
for
talking
vote.
about-
Like,
yeah.
you already have to register to vote right now.
talking
It's
about-
just, well, I think he's just talking about the bill. Like, and it's not a separate ID. It's just you have to verify who you are when you go to register to vote.
Yeah, and it's just something to verify, because like we had mentioned, there's some states where you don't need anything, nothing. You just walk in there and say, oh, I'm fucking, Pedro Gonzalez and I'm here to vote. Okay, go ahead, go vote. Well, that's all you're saying, that just some sort of identification. I mean, that's it. You get pulled over for speeding. The first thing the cop asks you is, do you have an ID? I mean, you got to turn it over for that. You got to go in there to buy fucking cigarettes or whatever, beer. First thing, if you're young enough looking, they ask you, let me see your ID. Well, okay. I mean, there's just certain situations you need to prove who you are. And when it comes to voting, it's very important, because only citizens of the country that's holding the elections should be allowed to vote. And that's any country you're in. I shouldn't be allowed to go to Canada and vote. What kind of fucking sense does that make? I mean, I would get it. Look, if I go to another country and they tell me you can't vote because you're not legal, why would I be up in arms over that and throwing a fit? I'd say, well, you're right. That's a good idea. I'm not a citizen. I just don't understand the argument. It's so weird, man.
Well, yeah, and then Atmos says you already have to verify your identity to register the vote. So then why is there so much pushback on the SAVE Act?
Because for some reason they're under the belief that it's going to stop people who have changed their names from being able to vote. That's it. That's the biggest gripe I see.
Can people not get a real ID that have changed their names in the past?
Of course they can.
So then what's the problem?
There isn't a problem. You're right. There isn't a problem. It's manufactured problems, just to get people to not want this. That's it. And there's only one reason they want them to not want this, and that is so they can do what the fuck they got to do when they need a few extra votes. There's no other reason a politician in this country would truly believe that citizens don't need some sort of proof of who they are before voting. There's no other reason to want that if you're a politician. None. Because it seems to be one-sided, which should tell you everything you need to know. That's it.
Right.
You know, it's one-sided. The side that's always being accused and always being caught in some shady shit is the only side bitching about this.
Philip said it out loud, so.
What did Philip say?
Philip says the Democrats don't want the ID because they want the illegals to be able to vote for them.
That's it. It's that simple. Yeah, it's simple. It's plain and simple. It's right there in front of your face. If you don't want to see it, then you're choosing to be blind. That's all there is to it.
And Armageddon says that the real ID has a lot of crap you have to do to get it. Okay, so then birth certificate. There's options on this thing. You know, it's not, hey, you have to jump through all these hoops to get this one thing in order to register to vote. Like, there's options of ways that you can prove who you are. But they could have listed 1,000 options, and there'd be a way that somebody in a specific situation is going to have an issue with that fucking option. I get it, but
sure.
I mean, there's options, and like I said, there's also a fucking affidavit that you can sign, and under the threat of perjury, you know, penalty of perjury, I am an American citizen, and you provide whatever supporting documents you do have, and you can register to vote.
Well, and if you change your last name after marriage, your birth certificate might not match your current ID at first glance. I get it. But guess what? I mean, that's not a roadblock. It's a minor detail with an easy fix built right in. I mean, grab your passport if you have one. I mentioned that earlier. It shows your current name and proves citizenship. Or states can and will accept that marriage certificate or court order to connect the dots. You know, if you've got
my last name has been changed.
Right. Exactly. It's common sense. I mean, it's already done for things like driver's license if you change your name. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if needed, update your records. It's a one-time thing. It's often quick and low cost. I mean, it's like I said, the bill isn't about sidelining anybody. It's about protecting every vote, including yours if you're a citizen. I mean, it's from real, threats like non-citizen interference, man. It's plain and simple. I don't know. It seems pretty cut and dry to me, but then again, what do I know? I'm a heterosexual white male, so I think we've got tons of privilege anyway. They give us IDs at birth. Everything's paid for with us. Actually, the DMV comes to our house and gives us, driver's license and IDs as we need them. We're not inconvenienced at all.
No, the DMV has to wait in our lines.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Anybody watching that's not a straight white male, it's super fucking simple to be us in this country. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, they like I said, they come and provide everything you need at home. I don't have to leave ever. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. So, what do I know about being inconvenienced? But what else is going on in this fucking world? Before I get everybody mad. Nothing that Nancy Guthrie, dude. Can we shift gears? Has anybody caught this fucking person, I guess, that took this lady?
Did somebody got arrested, right?
Arrested? Who?
In the Guthrie case.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know. What's the latest on it? The last I saw, somebody was claiming that she was in Mexico.
She's in Mexico.
Yeah, TMZ got another letter, and the person that's been writing him the whole time claiming he knows where she's at, he's afraid to come forward now, he said, because he has felonies or something. So he's afraid, but he's claiming that he saw her. Like, he knows where she's at. She's in Mexico with some multiple men or something. is the last that TMZ was told. And I'm like, I don't know who the hell this is. They keep contacting TMZ, but they said they're afraid to reach out to the authorities and say where she's at. So the dude that runs TMZ put out a video saying, look, if you're listening to this, and apparently you are because you keep writing me fucking letters, write us and tell us where she's at. I mean, you don't have to be involved. You don't have to talk to law enforcement. Just tell us how we can save her or at least find, her remains or whatever. But so I don't know. I don't know if it's just some kook that's just trying to get a little 15 minutes of fame or something. But I mean, for some reason, they keep sending TMZ these fucking letters claiming they know her whereabouts. It's weird.
So odd.
I know.
Real quick, we're going to come right back to it. I just want to
go ahead,
comment on Tony Stone 10K. I can't believe that non-citizens are risking breaking federal law just to vote. Well, they're breaking federal law by being here, so they're already breaking federal law.
Yeah.
But,
well,
anyway.
No, not only that, but if you're in an area that's not going to do anything about it, I mean, why would it be unbelievable?
No doubt, but it's just unbelievable that they would break a federal law. It's like they're breaking a federal law by being here illegally. So
yeah,
that line's already crossed, I was
going to say that's a big point. A lot of people just forget because they've been programmed to look at them differently by a certain political side. They're undocumented citizens. They're not illegal aliens anymore. So when you start getting people, used to terms like that, then you start looking at it differently. And that's how a lot of people are right now. And I'm not saying that it makes them bad people, but they're technically illegal. They broke the law as soon as they came over here.
Because
whether
an
you like the law or
undocumented
not,
citizen, undocumented citizen would be like your example earlier. Your ID and your birth certificate gets burned up in a fucking house fire. Now you're an undocumented citizen. I have no documents right now. Right.
Well, the term sounds, neat.
It is an absolute federal offense, Armageddon. What the fuck? It's U.S. Code 1325, improper entry by an alien.
Is somebody
it is a
that
federal
it's not
law?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only no, there is no. I was gonna say I think the only way they're not breaking the law by doing that is if they're like for amnesty. But you don't just climb a fucking fence and come over here.
No,
you still have to go through the proper protocols. So now the problem is people turn an argument of how they morally think to legally, and that's two different things. You cannot like it at all, but it is a law. It's a law that's being broken by everyone who comes over here illegally. Like I said, you don't have to like the law. I don't even know if I like it half the times because I sympathize with these people. I know why a lot of them are coming over here, and I get it. But it doesn't make it legal just because you can kind of, put yourself in someone else's shoes for a second. It's still, if you want to get technical, they're still breaking the law. I mean, so
it's not even technical. They are breaking the law.
Well, that's what I mean. If you want to get, people say, well, they're not hurting anything. It's like, well, they might not be. Some of them might not be. But when the argument turns into it's not illegal, I mean, that's just a goofy argument because it's not real. It's not there's no truth behind that statement.
He's saying it's a civil offense, not federal, and it is absolutely federal.
Oh, is he crazy? Why would the federal government be running around picking people
only
up?
Federal. Like it has nothing. The state local law doesn't give a shit.
Well, and politely, I want to ask, where do you get your information from? That's weird. I've never heard anybody make that argument. That's a different one, honestly.
Like we got to take them to small claims court to deport them?
Yeah, we'll let Judge Judy handle it all. I mean,
I like it.
No, but, not being an asshole, I'm just curious because it always intrigues me on how far apart people's thinkings can be and their realities that they live in. It's weird because apparently whoever this is that's in the chats, and we do appreciate you checking us out, it's you've got it in your brain that it's not a federal crime, and that's just weird because it couldn't be any further from the truth. To think that it's not a federal crime. I don't know. It's odd. I can't even wrap my head around that. But who is Philip 457?
What's Philip say?
He's up at the top. Thank you, Philip. Philip threw us a couple bucks.
Oh,
Appreciates
what
us
up,
running our
Philip?
mouth on here. To vote and written ID is required. ID should be required every fucking country. But anyway, like I said, that was a weird argument. I never heard that one before. That it's a civil thing. That's odd. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know. Let's see what else is going on.
Chucky says, I like what you said earlier when you said you can see both sides.
Well, yeah, and I do, and I've said it a lot on here. Just I'm not heartless, where it's just because I hear a lot of people on the right that to them they don't give a fuck. Women, children, whatever, fuck them, throw them all back over the border and let the fucking coyotes deal with them. I don't see it like that because I put myself in a position where if I was trying to find a better place for my children, having kids, and it's like I would do everything I could to try to provide them a better life. So I get that. I just wish, it could be done the right way. It sucks that it's such a long process for a lot of these people, but the answer isn't just in a wide open border of unvetted people. That's the scary part. I mean, it's crazy because there's no perfect system when it comes to that. The ideal situation is everybody that comes across the border would be great people just looking for a better life, and they could rush them right in and give them citizenship. But it's not the reality of it.
No, and the people on here that are on the left aren't going to believe us at all, but we've said it before that the process to getting legal citizenship needs to be easier. I think it's way too hard for people trying to immigrate, especially people that come from countries that aren't, they don't have great finances and you know what I mean? Like they just don't have the resources available. Like I think it needs to be an easier process, but it's got to be a process. That's not, just hopping in and being here or getting a visa just to get here and then just never leaving. Like it's got to be a process.
Right. And for a couple of reasons. I mean, not just a process just because. I mean, there's reasons behind it. For one, like I said, just to vet who's coming. You don't let anybody in your home that you don't know. And this is our home, like it or not. I mean, a country is our home. We're citizens of it. So I would like to know who's coming and going, because bad things can happen when you don't pay attention to that. Also, the resources that get sucked on. As a taxpayer in this country, it would be nice to know that people aren't just able to flood over the fucking border and then just start living off of my dime. I don't get any help from the fucking government, and I'm a fucking tax-paying citizen. So why should someone who just, jumped their ass over the fucking border start receiving better treatment than I do when I've been living here my entire fucking life paying into the system? So that's another reason. I mean, there's multiple reasons why. Like you said, it shouldn't be as hard and as long as a process, but it still needs to be a process.
Absolutely.
Because it is. I know people that it's decade long, them trying to become citizens. It's crazy that it takes that long when it's productive people that I know that have, they come here, they work. They're just, they come on these work visas. They got to go back. They come back. They got to go back. They do it the right way. And it takes a fucking decade for them to finally become a citizen. And a lot of it's just because anything this fucking government does isn't fast. It's not because they have some decade-long plan laid out. It's just because shit takes forever when you're dealing with the fucking federal government, or even your local government for a lot of people. I mean, it's just how it is. People up there are making bullshit pay. It's just another fucking day for them. They're working, just watching the clock, waiting to get off like everybody else. These people that are dealing with paperwork when it comes to people trying to become citizens, they're just regular people just trying to get through the fucking day and go to fuck home. They don't give a fuck because the paperwork never stops. That pile never ends. So they're just there doing their fucking task as slow as they can every fucking day. I get it. You got humans behind this shit, but it could be a better process for these people. That
Absolutely.
would help, you know. Anywho, what else big going on? Anything else? Anything else worth fucking yapping about?
Anything big?
I seen that.
I think we get back on Nancy.
Nancy, yeah, there ain't nothing going on with Nancy though. That's the problem, man. It's a crazy fucking, you know. Like I said, TMZ is about the only people hearing anything. Yeah, that's about it. I don't know. It guess it could make sense if I know a lot of people are thinking it might have been cartel, which would make sense for them going back over the border with her. But I just can't see why they wouldn't have shown proof of life, you know, if it was something like that.
Yeah, I don't think she's still alive, but
no, I can't see it, man. It's not, at least not from the person that's sending this ransom shit. There's no way that she's still alive with them, because you can't be expecting to get your ransom when you don't even want to prove that the person's alive. So I don't even know if that shit's even tied in together. Like, I think that's some kind of idiot trying to take advantage of the situation, opposed to the real kidnapper. I mean, somebody was saying the authorities were pointing towards, you know, looking like a burglary gone wrong, for whatever proof they have for that. I don't know, but it's like, well, yeah, guess it could be. You know, somebody was snooping around trying to get in that house. That old lady spooked them, and, you know, the rest is history. But I don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
I know Trump's talking about pursuing a death penalty if they find out, you know, anything happened to her. Like, he's getting the fucking feds behind it and everything, saying basically if they catch whoever did it, that he will make sure the DOJ pursues the death penalty in the case. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't have.
It's a crazy case, dude. It is a crazy case that it just, I mean, without a trace, like, there's no clue.
I know. Tell you what else is crazy. Just let me pull it up here. Let's pull it up. The weekly reminder, or of just how full of shit your fucking government is and can be. I can't get enough of it.
Again, logical play out. If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Yeah. Don't you think if there were videos or evidence of someone on an island, blah, 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 don't you think I would release it? This is just a reminder how fucking sick all these fucking people are.
Yeah.
So, like
Tony, just to answer your questions, we try to talk about it, but YouTube does not love it. He said, did y'all talk about the Epstein files already, or is that a forbidden topic? According to YouTube, it's forbidden, and they wound up throttling us and fucking, it's terrible.
We were talking about that before we got on air, because we really weren't even going to approach that subject, but I dropped a short the other night on this channel, and it was about something we spoke about in a previous episode when it came to Epstein. It was kind of going through these disgusting fucking emails. Well, that video, after 16 hours, had 321% average view duration or something like that. Whatever the stat was, it basically meant that almost everybody who watched that video watched it at least 3 times. They gave us 36 views on a video where people were watching it 3 times over. If you know anything about this shit, that is a algorithm's dream. If you get a video where people are rewatching that motherfucker, it should explode and go viral. That's how they claim they do this. They claim they judge it by who's viewing it, how long they're sticking around, and how many times they're viewing it. Well, when you've got one that the stats are showing you that people are watching it not once, not twice, but 3 times over, there's no reason it should ever die at 36 lonely fucking views. But that's what's happening when you mention that topic about that island and what was going on. That's how bad you're getting suppressed. So that's kind of why we stayed away from it for the most part tonight, is they find ways to shut you up. And it sucks that you have to do it. But if you want to play the game on these sites, you got to go by the rules sometimes, or just don't get on here. But believe me, I had a ton of shit I wanted to talk about that tonight. But it's like every time we do, we get fucking throttled. You see the stream views now. I mean, it's like we've been punished ever since we mentioned that shit a few episodes back. You know, how you get into tens of thousands of views, and then you start mentioning that, and you can't break 2,000 all of a sudden. It's like, it's bad, dude.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, what we were doing,
just fucked it up again by talking about it, but I mean, it's,
we were averaging for a good 2 months 15 to 30,000 views per live, and then we mentioned Epstein once and dropped down to 1,500, 2,000.
And that was it, bro. And like I said, when that fucking video, when I saw the stats of that fucking video, where, like I said, they say most videos die off at about 50 to 80% of that. I forget what is it? The viewer
retention.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's 50 to 80%. A viral video is about 150%. That motherfucker I dropped was over 300%. And 36 views is all they would give us on that.
Yeah, and I mean, compared to other shorts that is getting dropped, and I mean, what they're averaging, a few thousand views per short.
Yeah. I mean, some of
they may
the
average 60-70% viewer retention, but they're getting thousands of views compared to this that's got 300% viewer retention and average watch duration and does fucking 30.
Yeah, and sometimes it's content. I get it. I mean, not everything can be a gem. Every
no
video
doubt.
you drop. I mean, that's not why I don't.
But that's why you have analytics. You can compare, on average, the shorts that do get
either
views.
Way, I mean, if you were just going for views every time, you'd be like fucking whistling fucking diesel and just doing dumb shit on camera to get views. It's just sometimes I just think we talk about interesting shit, so it's like, oh, let me make a clip out of it. Maybe somebody will want to hear it. No big deal. Whatever. Well. Those, it's, you don't expect all of them to blow up because you can see the analytics. But when you see analytics like that on a video, I mean, we've had shit go viral with less fucking viewer retention than that.
Yeah.
That is, like I said, that's not just engagement. That's like just skyrocket off the fucking charts engagement. When people are watching a video 3 fucking times, it's ridiculous that you get suppressed like that. And then it makes you wonder why. Like, why? Because I Googled, I told you that off air. I Googled the person who runs this platform that we on. They're not they're not talked about.
They're not in it.
Yeah, they're not in the fucking files. So why does it matter to them? But it does. It's like these elites get protected no matter, what platform you're on. They're protected in one way or another. It's a fucking shame, man. It's a shame. It's censorship. Now, the only difference is this isn't my right to be on here doing this. It's a privilege because I don't own the platform and I could simply just not do it. So they got you. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to shut the fuck up about the subject and move on,
Yep.
But since we're on it already, we were talking about it earlier. Pam Bondi released a shit ton of names. And
I saw that.
Right, and the point that me and you were talking about before we got on air, because like I said, we hadn't planned on talking about this at all, but since we're talking about it, we'll bring it up. There was just a long list of prominent names, according to her. Last thing they're going to release on this shit. Well, there's names on there like Elvis Presley, who no way in hell could he have visited Epstein Island. It's not possible.
Well, he's not dead, so.
Well, that's true. Maybe if he wasn't dead, but considering that normal people believe he's passed away. So, and what the conclusion that brought me to is that it's purposely just throw out a bunch of shit, let the American public sift through it. You got some people saying this is bullshit, others saying it's real. You got stuff that's being proven false, stuff that's being, proven real. And it's just all a big clusterfuck of information that you can't make heads or tails of.
And then
So
you add in the absolutely fake shit that's being made and posted as if it's in the Epstein files. It isn't,
and it's not.
you know?
Right. That's what I mean. So you factor all of that in, and I think it's very orchestrated by the DOJ and the government to make it a total confusing mess. They're like, you want files? Here's 3 million of them motherfuckers. Have fun. So then you don't know heads or fucking tails. You don't know what's real. Every name that's ever mentioned in those files is put on a list. And it could have just been, I think we spoke about it off air, it could have just been people that Epstein talked about. Like, hey, I like Elvis Presley movie. Well, music, I'm sorry. Well, guess what? Elvis Presley's name made the list now. Well, then what do you do with that information? So now every name on there can be questioned on whether or not they did anything or, you know what I mean? It's just a confusing mess, and I think it was purposely fucking done. And you can see every big entity is behind not wanting this shit to get exposed, including this fucking platform I'm running my mouth on right now, apparently, after watching the analytics of that last video I dropped. It blew my fucking mind. You know, it blew my mind at how bad it really showed what's going on with places like this, platforms like this. I mean, it's crazy, man. But anyway, like I said, I think they meant for it to be a confusing mess with those files and that big file dump, and they did their job because you can't decipher what's real and what's not. I mean, it's how do you? It's like you mentioned earlier. They've got emails and pictures of screenshots of fake emails going around that aren't in the files.
Right.
I mean, but people are believing them. They're believing them, and then the ones that are real, people aren't believing. So I mean, what do you do with all that? You know. But anyway, what you got pulled up behind you?
Oh, the U.S. code on illegal immigration.
That's for the one that said it's not a federal crime?
Yeah, it's just, you know, the code from the federal government on what the crime's called, and, you know, you can search it up, but figured that could just hang out there for a little bit.
Yeah, because hold on, wait. I'm gonna play something. Let's play this for a second. I got a great video. Let's watch it again.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's your federal government right there. Don't let them live this shit down, man. I want to play that fucking video on every fucking episode. At least once, I'm going to play that shit. I don't want anybody to forget how disgusting this Department of Justice is. Everybody behind the scenes when it came to this shit should be in fucking prison, because there's no disputing what went on that fucking island. There's no fucking disputing that at all. There's no way you can look at the evidence that's been dropped and, you know, try to act like that shit isn't real. There's no way you can do that. So
yeah,
what's up, Brad? Welcome to the chat.
What up, B-Rad?
Only 2 hours late, but
that's it. Tony
just flew in, dude. I'm sorry, running behind today.
Tony said, I never heard of Elvis being named. That's likely a hoax, but
it's not.
I just looked it up.
Justice.gov,
went to the Epstein library and just typed in Elvis Presley. There's 5 pages of Elvis Presley being mentioned in the fucking Epstein
that's
files.
What I mean. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm looking at it right here. Pope John Paul II. You know what I mean? Kash Patel. Elvis fucking Presley. I'm looking at it right here from the shit that Pam Bondi dropped. Yeah, it's real. But the point is, nobody was saying he was on the island. It's just his name was mentioned somehow in these emails, and that was kind of what Trump was alluding to in the very beginning, that if we drop all these files, there's going to be a lot of names in there that had nothing to do with the illegal activity that was going on. And it's true. Doesn't mean we didn't need to see the files, but you can't make sense of it. None of it. And I believe it was purposely fucking done that way. It's a clusterfuck. I mean, there's no other reason that they would have done that. I think they were trying to just let it blow over, and then they realized they couldn't. The American public and the world itself was like, oh no, what are we doing here? Y'all hiding a fucking pedophile ring. So it didn't look good at all for our Department of Justice. So they had to give something. So they're like, here you go. Take it all. Do what you want with it. We're going to put Elvis in this motherfucker too. So
well,
figure it out.
There's 2 pages of Rosa Parks. So
that's what I mean. And it was because it might have just been named. They may have been talking about how much of a fan they were of Rosa Parks. So then all of a sudden she made the list.
Jesus Christ is mentioned on 6 pages.
Yeah. So let me ask you something. If you're Pam Bondi in the Department of Justice, all right, why the fuck would you think Elvis Presley, Jesus Christ, needs to be on this list that you decide to release with these bigwig names on it? Like, why else would you do that besides to just add to the confusion in this mess? She knows the fucking list people wanted. It was a list of people that committed fucking crimes, not just a list of fucking names that may have been mentioned in emails because somebody liked their fucking music. That bitch knew exactly what the American people wanted, and she knew exactly what she was doing when she released this bullshit list and all the motherfucking files the way that they did it. She knew it. To me, she's just as guilty as anybody who took part in that shit on that fucking island. Shit
Brad?
chaps my ass, man, that we live in a fucking country where, you know, this is the shit we got to deal with from our leaders. This is it. This is no better than, you know, them countries we complain about that are run by you know, socialists and shit. It's no fucking better.
No.
They're all fucking criminals. They're all crooks, and they're unstoppable. They're untouchable. This shows you right here. This Epstein shit showed you. They're fucking untouchable.
It really is. There's definitely a 2-tier justice system in this country for sure.
It's a 1-tier. It's us, and that's it.
Right.
You know, there is no justice system at all for them assholes. None. It's a fucking shame because you can't do shit but change it. And then when you say something about it, you get fucking suppressed like we do.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's 100% correct. It'll never be normal. It has to be dismantled from the top to the bottom, and
well, good luck.
Well, it's not going to be pretty when it happens, and I think eventually it's going to fall. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you were on here when I was bitching about the video I dropped the other night, where, you know, the short version, the analytics showed that people were watching the video at least 3 times. Which, if you know anything about this content shit, that video should have exploded. But it was about Epstein. It got 36 views.
Wow.
After a 300% viewer retention or whatever they called it, to where it was, and what that calculated to was people watching that video over and over and over. And YouTube's like, nope, fuck that. We're not putting that Epstein stuff out. Ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Well, that's what we up against in this country, Shane. I mean,
yeah.
You know, thank God for X. I mean, where it is kind of wild, wild west, but you know, here's where we get our traction at, and it's sad. I mean, but you can bet your bottom dollar if this was all Republican related, if it was, you know, Trump and all these other Republicans out there,
it'd be amplified.
On the forefront. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You could speak what you want, talk how you want, do. You see it on all the news outlets, man. You know.
That's true. You're right. If this Epstein shit had nothing to do with anybody but Trump and his cronies or something, they'd be pushing that shit.
Yes.
You know,
100%.
They'd be pushing it if you start talking about it.
Yep.
And it's just sick to know that there's people that want to hide what went on that island. Because if you don't think anything went on, then you have no reason to want to hide it. But it's like they know the people that are involved in what was going on with those just fucking Satanists on that fucking island. You know, they know it, and they want to hide it, including Trump. I don't think he's innocent in wanting to hide that shit. Now, he's got his reasons,
right?
As far as, you know, well, you know, it's going to hurt a lot of innocent people, whatever the fuck he's saying. But To me, it don't matter, man. It's all the way up the fucking chain of commands. It was a fuck up from the very beginning, and none of them should be cut any slack, and it should never be forgot about. And let's watch it
If
one more
there was
time.
a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn, and there are hundreds of victims.
That little cross-eyed fucker. Don't you think you would say it if I had proof of people on an island? And it's like, shut the fuck up, you idiot. Like I knew when I watched that episode when him on Rogan, you could just tell. You could tell the fucking lie coming out of this man's fucking mouth that he didn't believe what the fuck he was saying because it was just 100% fucking lies. I knew it right then. I'm like, this motherfucker's in on it. He's in on it. Rogan didn't believe him either. He was just too polite to call this bullshit out because you're talking to the fucking head of the FBI, basically. So, he's on your show. So, because Rogan had mentioned it before that he wasn't going to sit there and, I guess, get into it with him about it. But he knew it. He could smell the bullshit. It was right there across the table from him. He smelled it. I'm sitting there watching it, driving, thinking, this motherfucker's lying. Kash Patel is lying. Our FBI, they're in on this shit. And that's when I knew it. And it was like, oh, my God. Because I remember Bondi saying that. 10,000 hours of videos. And then this asshole goes on the largest podcast in the world and says, we don't have no videos. What videos?
None at all.
Right.
Don't you think if I had some videos, I would release them? Like, no, I don't.
Well, and like Jay Howard just said, well, Epstein's dead, so no reason to pursue charges on him. But are there others on the tape? And I guarantee you there are. But
God,
you'll never know about it is the problem because it's all, people that, our politicians are having Thanksgiving dinners with and, fishing trips. And so you'll never hear of any of the names that are on the videos.
Yeah, there's not even a slight chance that it was only Epstein that them people were being trafficked to. After these emails came out, oh my God, it was
100%.
Yeah, there's no way because that was what the argument was because even Kash Patel was saying that it besides Epstein himself, we have no legitimate proof that they were trafficking minors to anybody besides Epstein. That's the only person who was benefiting from this. What's Rob Matt talking about? Hey, why aren't you three crawdads out showing your tits from Marty Gras? I did. I got kicked off the parade route.
Yeah, ain't that the truth, huh?
Thank you. Thank you for the subscribe. I see
Appreciate
that
it.
coming across.
Thank
It
you,
is Mardi Gras
sir,
time.
man.
I guess I get so used to that Mardi Gras shit, I forget it's even here. It's like, I don't know.
Dude.
A lot of
I'm
locals,
just-
for the most part, are like that.
yeah, I've seen enough of it. I don't even really get much involved in it anymore.
I got stuck behind like fucking, it had to be 12 floats on the fucking interstate this morning.
Damn.
It was
Yeah.
terrible. Everybody was
city's
doing
gonna
20
be-
mile an hour.
Well, tomorrow is Mardi Gras
Ooh.
itself, and that city's going to be fucking just a clusterfuck, man. So,
I know where
anyway,
I
I
won't
won't be involved in it. But,
Nope.
all right. Well, y'all ready to wrap it up?
No.
What else?
Did y'all see this week's episode of Tweaker Geographic?
Tweaker Geographic. No. Get it going.
Well, then.
I want to see this. As long as we can show it on here.
Here you are.
On this episode of Tweaker Geographic, we observe the Tweaker warrior valiantly battling non-existent Tweaker demons that exist only in his imagination. Notice the style, wild swings, perfect footwork, and an unmatched commitment to absolutely nothing. Experts warn, if you see this in the wild, turn around and leave quietly. The Tweaker warrior remains undefeated, mostly because nothing showed up.
Well, let me ask, though. Is he crazy or are we? Maybe he's seeing something we can't, Who are
True.
we to judge? Who are we to judge?
He saw the shadow of that drone. He didn't know what the hell that
I
was.
saw that. So it looks like he was fighting. All right. Anything else, Justin, you want to bring to people's attention? Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, right before we get off, I want to show y'all this video. I want you to go to bed. I want you to just really take this in.
Yep.
Never forget. Okay? Here it is.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims.
Never forget.
Never.
Till next time, y'all be good. We're out of here. Tell them bye, guys.
Bye.
Happy